Hello, everyone. Welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. Hope you're all doing well. Sorry about the slick back hair. Just got caught in a bloody in a rainstorm when I was out walking the dogs, so it was interesting. I've had to get changed. I haven't got the figure for a wet t-shirt. I went down about 3 sizes. Ladies went mad. They went mad. As always, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe and don't forget, drop a like on the video. That's the most important bit. Helps the algorithm. It's the one little thing you can do, and it does perk us up as well. I hope you enjoyed that show last night. You know, it was intended to be a bit of an educational piece, really, because as I said, sort of midway through that video, I've had a little bit more insight. Since I've been doing what I've been doing, because you talk to more people now, I've got a little bit more insight into how things work. So I'm keen to kind of get somebody else to bring that knowledge to you as well. And, you know, X is fantastic at that. Not ex-West Ham United employee, Agent X. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Just have a look at the comments on the video itself. Very insightful. It is 2 hours long. It weren't supposed to be, but I started having a bit of a drink. It was Saturday night, and before I knew it, it was over 2 hours. We was into it. It's going to start off a little bit slow for some people because I know that not everyone wants to hear about PSR. But X is very analytical with the way that he likes to run through things. So we started with PSR, but we moved quickly past that. That's just laying the foundations to what we uncover next, and we talk about everything. I know that all West Ham fans at the moment in a transfer window, all you want to hear, what players we signing? Just tell me what players we signing? That was me just January. That's gone for me now. It's dead. I saw too much how this club operate. It's left a bad taste in my mouth. We will get players in this window, but I worry that we're going to be repeating the same mistakes over and over again, and I'm going to go on to explain why. And like I say, everything that I talk about in this video is backed up by X, who's been in the industry for absolutely donkey's years, in and out of football, he's heavily involved with chairmen at football clubs, with players, with agents, every aspect of football. He knows the game inside out. And he spoke very candidly on the structure at West Ham, which is our main problem. Because the fact of the matter is, the reason we are in this financial mess, which we're in at the moment, if you refer back to Jacob Steinberg's financial report, towards the end of July, we've got a huge bill coming that we've got to pay. Because whenever we buy players, we get them on tick. So we're still paying for the likes of Paqueta. We've got all of those repayments that are coming up. You imagine how that adds up, all the summer and January transfers over a period of time, because that's how we do business. When we sell players, it also costs us money because we get paid on tick. So if we sell a player, the only one we got paid quickly for was Declan Rice, but most of the other players, first of all, we lose on the player. So we'll sell them at a loss, spread over 5 years. The first thing Sullivan does is goes to a bank. He secures a loan against whatever the club have given us for a player, 17 million, spread over 5 years. He gets that 17 million out, and then we pay that back over the course of whatever it is, 4 years, 5 years. With interest, it's cost us money. So we probably ended up making about 13 million out of that 17 million pound deal. But nonetheless, what's happening is constantly, we all know our personal bills add up of a month. If you keep on adding to them, and that is how we are run. We know that they won't provide cash injections. We know that there is space within PSR for West Ham to do that. They've come out and said so, that they could if they wanted to. But instead, we've got to sell Mohammed Kudus to Spurs, which looks like it's rapidly picking up pace. I'm going to go on to talk about that as well. But first and foremost, the reason we're in this financial mess in the first place is because, and we speak about this in depth in that video. If you want more information, go and watch it. I'll link it at the end of this. It's because we are still giving the manager what he wants. Whenever it's either David Moyes' West Ham, it's Lopetegui's West Ham, it's Pellegrini's West Ham, and now it's Graham Potter's West Ham. The only reason we're in a financial mess is because over 5 years, ignore the European Cup and whatever else, in terms of squad building, for the financial status of this club, by the time Moyes was gone, we'd spent £500 million and we had the oldest and smallest squad. Completely negligent. This is why you cannot, and why no other club runs in this way, especially with PSR. You can't hide it. You can't do it. clubs like West Ham, we're not in a position, we're not in the Chelsea and Man City position where they can afford to just go and splurge money, waste it, and it don't matter. Because they've just got so much money coming in commercially. West Ham can't do that. As X said, we are probably always, because the club are not ambitious and they won't pump their own money in, we're always going to have to do this every few years. We're going to have to sell some of our crown jewels to give ourselves that cash injection, to give ourselves that bump. We've done it with Declan Rice. His money's falling off of our balance sheet next summer. So we're 100 million lighter. We're going to have to fill that void now by selling Mohammed Kudus and God knows who else. And it isn't right the way that we're doing it, and it doesn't need to be like that. And what worries me is moving forwards, it's just going to get worse. We're going to have less of these players. We're not always going to have a Mohammed Kudus or a Declan Rice to sell. If we keep on recruiting the way that we're recruiting just for the manager, it's an old-fashioned mindset. It really is. And it's even, I know that we've got like a wonky version of a director of football model now, where we've got Carl McCauley, who's an analyst, and he's going out there and he's analysing players and he's recruiting them. But he's not recruiting them for West Ham. He's recruiting them for Potter. So it's the same as it was before. It's just that we've got another man in the middle now. How a director of football model should work, we spoke in depth about a chap called Rui Braz, who's transformed Benfica, absolutely transformed them. They was in financial ruin, more or less, when he came into that club. They had no cash flow. They'd spent terribly. They were run awfully. He came into that club and he has transformed them from the ground up with a sharp focus on developing players from the academy first and turning them into superstars and selling them at a profit. And he has mastered the art of buying low and selling high. And it's a conveyor belt. So when you're Benfica, like when you're Brighton, we wouldn't be panicking right now with Kudus. We wouldn't be worried if Mohammed Kudus was going, if we had somebody like that in charge, because we know that either the replacement for that player is either at the club already or is coming in the door. And we're probably going to get him for a right knockdown fee. If you're selling for 50 million, his replacement's going to cost about 10. That's typically what this guy does. And he works independently of the manager. The manager has no input whatsoever. They're just a cog in the machine. They're the coach. Rui Braz sets the philosophy for that football club, how they're going to play football. That's what he does. And then he goes out and he appoints coaches that coach the right style, because it's also important that he gets men in that are big on development, because for that system to work, it's one thing going out there and identifying players and getting the right players in. You need to have the man in place that's going to actually play them and develop them and grow your assets. And that's what he does. He hires and fires. The director of football is God. Rui Braz is God, and they are reaping the benefits. They've gone from a club that was broken, like we are now, to one of the best, I don't know what you'd call manufacturers of talent in European football. And they have been for some time. He takes no shit. He doesn't even really talk to, it's not even about appeasing the owners. He's got his job and he does whatever he has to do. He holds the purse strings. He manages every aspect of it. And if the manager's no good or he's not performing, gone, replaced. But nothing else changes. At West Ham, we're building this team at the moment. We've just gone and got rid of our goalkeepers coach, who's been there through 3 managers. We've got rid of him to bring someone else in. Well, our goalkeepers coach has gone to Liverpool. That's how terrible he was. But this is all about Potter being allowed to build this. He's ring fencing a team around him, the securing his position. That's all that is. He's insecure. It's all about getting a team around him that are owned by Potter. They report to Potter. He's trying to put himself in such a powerful position, and we are becoming Potter FC, like we were Moyes FC, like it was on the verge of becoming Lopetegui FC. Why do we keep making the same mistake? It's pathetic. It really is. I'm not saying, sorry about that weird noise, I'm not saying that Potter should be sacked, but he's never been a manager before. He's only ever been a coach, a cog in a machine, given a job to do. What are we doing? Apparently he didn't want Dan Ashworth, the director of football. who basically helped put him on the map at Brighton by delivering him a constant conveyor belt of players. Don't want to work with him. He wants his mate in. This is like a little pet project for him. Why are West Ham not learning? We have to take that model. The most important thing that we can do is go out there and appoint a director of football that sits over Potter. McCauley can still be an analyst, but they've got to do that. We've got nobody that can seal deals. We've got nobody out there recruiting players for West Ham. At the moment, what's the main thing that people say at the moment about Potter? It's not his team. They're not his players. Shouldn't ever be his players. It should be West Ham's players. He's just coaching them. When he took this job, X made it very explicitly clear that when he took this job, the only way he would have been given the job is if, when he was interviewing for it, he looked at the squad and went, I can do way better than Lopetegui with your group of players. I don't need you to sell everyone and bring new players in, because he'd never been given a job. He's obviously given assurances that he can do better than Lopetegui could with this group of players. But now we've arrived at the stage, as we understand it, where he's gone, well, no, you've got to get rid of them all. You've got to get rid of them all. Because they don't suit him. Because he struggles with big profile players. And that's also going to be reflected by the players that we're looking at. I've seen us be linked with the likes of Rios. Those days are gone. He's not going to go for anyone of that standing. They're going to be young, unproven and grateful, or old and subservient. That's the type of thing that Potter wants. You can see that by the team that he's building around him. So why are we allowing this to happen at West Ham again? If it works, we'll have a couple of years' grace like we did under Moyes. But ultimately, the second that Potter goes, it all falls down again. And we've got to start all over again. All of the staff, even the goalkeeping coach now, everyone will have to be replaced. And then what we're going to do, we're going to do the same thing again and put all of our eggs in another manager's basket and go, right, now we're going to build a team in Sean Dyche's image or so-and-so's image. Why do we keep making the same fucking mistake? It makes no sense. So if you don't listen to me, listen to somebody that actually knows the game. I implore you, go and watch that video from last night. It's a couple of hours. It is educational. It's what I've been going through for the last 6 months to a year. Once you understand it, the way that we run things is pathetic. And you have to be independent. You can't have a director of football being appointed by the manager. Because what happens if Potter starts underperforming? Is McCauley going to sack him? Of course he's not going to sack him. He's his mate. The whole thing is flawed at West Ham. This isn't a director of football model that we've got now. It's bullshit. We're looking for players in a slightly different way. We're using data, but we are not taking the Brighton model. We're not going anywhere near it or Brentford or Sunderland, because a director of football at a club is God and the manager is just a coach and they're just a cog in the machine. I'm sick to fucking death of being not just West Ham. Like I said, why has it always got to be, this is Potter's West Ham, this is Moyes' West Ham, this is so-and-so? No, this is West Ham. Our current coach is Graham Potter. That's how it should be. And if you've got the right person in charge that sets a philosophy and is getting the right people in to develop players, to go out there and identify the right players as well, and not be locked in by these fucking super agents that Sullivan's aligned himself with, the likes of Salthouse and everyone else, so we're completely locked out from a lot of the rest of the market. If you was to give someone like Rui Bras 70 million, he would bring in probably 7 players at £10 million a pop. Give it a year, 2 years, you'd be doubling, tripling your money. Because that's what he's done. That's the body of proof. It's what he does. So we either need to go and get someone like Rui Bras out of his contract at Benfica, or we've got to find someone else. We know that Dan Ashworth is still available. I don't give a fuck if Potter doesn't want a director of football. It shouldn't be anything to do with him. He's got a short contract for a start. Say 6 months into a 2.5-year deal. In a year's time, next summer, there's a bilateral break clause in it. If he does well, he'll fuck off if somebody else is interested in him. There's no chance of that. That's not going to happen. The days of him being poached are long gone. Chelsea got their hands burnt doing that. But what I'm saying is, there isn't really even a massive commitment there from him. Plus, the body of evidence that we've got from the last 6 months. Why, in God's name, would you even take that route with him? Anyway, look, that's all I'm going to say on that now. For me, I'm not saying sack Potter. I'm saying put him in his fucking box. He's a coach. He always was a coach. He needs to be a fucking coach again. We've got to go out and get a director of football that will take West Ham in the right direction and consistently. So there is a consistency there. So that in a year, 2 years, when a manager either is shit and you sack him or he does well when he gets poached, please God, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Just once. Imagine having a manager poached. Then we'll be good. We'll be in a good, solid position. It don't hurt Brighton when a manager leaves. We'll find out whether it hurts Brentford. I suspect it won't. It doesn't hurt Benfica when a manager leaves because they're so well run. It's so obvious how a club needs to be run now. We know why. Because Sullivan likes this churn of players. He does. He profits from it. Because the whole time, we're not using his money, as has been illustrated. We're using club money all the time to buy players and sell players. And every time that money is circulated through his favoured agents, we know where half of it ends up. So it suits him to do mass rebuilds every 2 minutes. But we are approaching a point now, as is being proven in this window, we ain't signed anyone yet, where he's running out. He's draining us fucking dry. And I know that Sullivan and Brady are never ever going to have this model because they won't have their authority threatened. The director of football absolutely does threaten. He takes it away from you. He runs the footballing side of the business. He manages the budget. He manages everything. You don't have to go and get and say please and thank you to sign a player or sell a player or sack a manager. No, they run the lot. That's never going to happen at this club because there's too much fucking ego involved and too many people on the take that benefit from these relationships with the super agents. That's the trouble. But anyway, going on to Mohammed Kudus, we spoke in depth about Mohammed Kudus in that video yesterday as well. I know people are getting bored with it. But look, listen, we're at a situation now where Romano has reported that Kudus wants to go to Tottenham. First and foremost, this to me now says that he's going to go to Tottenham. Following Tim, we know that Sullivan now has got a connection with Romano because Romano is reporting a lot of West Ham news now. Didn't before Tim, now he is. So I'm assuming Sullivan's got his mobile number. Now, I've said before many, many times that the key tactic of West Ham when something like this is going to happen is they paint the player as a villain. Well, that is what's just been happened. Even though in my eyes, he still ain't. We've been saying on loop for weeks, we've got to sell Kudus. We've got to sell him. He was going to Chelsea. They tried to flog him to Saudi. They've almost begged him to go to Saudi, but he's like, no. He cares more about football than ridiculous amounts of tax-free money. He wants to stay in the Premier League and play at the highest level, but he wants to play for a club that value him and that are ambitious and, you know, probably in Europe as well, got half a chance of getting into Europe. So, of course, he would like that. But the reason that he's even spoken to Tottenham, because if we hadn't given him permission, it'd be tapping up. We've given Kudus permission to go and talk to Tottenham. Now, Kudus has probably spoken to Thomas Frank, and Thomas Frank has probably told him how much he values him, how much he will play him in his best position, how he will get the best out of him, how he will take him to another level again. Versus Graham Potter, who just shunts him out on the left-hand side and plays formations with 8 defenders on the fucking pitch. So yes, he's probably come to the stage now where he's gone, do you know what? I'm convinced. I want to go. I want to go. The manager don't want me. The club are trying to sell me. This manager does want me. I've spoken to him. The club are willing to pay 50 million for me. I want to go. So from the player's perspective, I don't blame him. Although many of our fans will, because they refuse to look past anything else. The reason we're in this mess and we've got to do this is because we've been so poorly financially run. Goes back to the manager model versus a director of football model. That's the only reason we're desperate and we've got to sell. And if we do this now and nothing changes, then in a couple of years' time, we're going to be going through the exact same cycle again, over and over and over again. Unless what does ultimately happen is we fall out of the league. Then we're fucked. But he just seems to, he just doesn't seem to care. He must know he's not thick. He's not stupid. He must know what needs to be done at West Ham to get us run a whole lot better. But there's so many people with their fingers in the pies at this club. It absolutely stinks. It's rotten. But like I said, That's all I'm going to talk about now. It is. And I know that there's fans out there that, they want positivity and they just want transfer news, Tell us who's coming in. I can't tell you who's coming in because there ain't no one coming in yet. We're probably going to sign that Diouf next week. Probably. Don't know. Suzuki ain't happening, as I said. Fucking advanced talks that people have been saying. Literally, apparently, we'd spoken to the player. You always speak to a player. That's something I've learned. You always do. We spoke to Gomez. We spoke to Kevin De Bruyne. That's not advanced fucking talks. It's not. Advanced talks is agreed personal terms. The other club have agreed to sell him. All you got to do is agree payment structure and stuff like that. I think Gio worded it better on the post that I put out there. It's bullshit. I think the only person it looks like we're close to signing at the minute is a fucking left back. That's it. But he looks like a good player. If we sign him, I'll get right behind him. I just don't believe it because I do believe that once a bid gets accepted, that's when loads of other clubs are going to jump him. Personally, that's what I think is. I think West Ham are being used in this window. In this instance, there's 7-8 clubs that are all monitoring that situation with Diouf. The second we get a bid accepted, I think the others will come flooding in. Again, that happens. We covered that on the video last night. We covered absolutely everything. There's going to be more coming as well with X. We've got another big show planned where we sort of blow the lid off of it a little bit and tell you where the money really goes in football because we all blame agents and this, that, the other. Well, yeah, we'll go into a little bit more detail and that will certainly ruffle a few feathers, which need ruffling because it just stinks. I'm fed up with it. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't want to listen to this anymore. I don't care. I've already said I've made a commitment at the start of this window following that 24-hour show that I'm going to stick to my guns and I'm not going to get bored and I'm not just going to do a couple of videos for clicks and be all angry and irate and then move on to other things and just pretend that nothing happened again because people are getting bored of it. No, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to keep banging this fucking drum until we get to the numbers that we need to get to. I don't care if it takes a fucking year. I'm going to keep banging this drum. And if I've got to do it on my own, which I've already said, I'm going to do it on my own. Doesn't mean I'm not going to get excited if we win a game of football. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to celebrate a goal. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to celebrate if we bring in a player that I like. We bring in Rios, I'm going to be dancing around the fucking living room. But that ain't going to happen. But I'm just saying, but what I'm going to do is be consistent. I'm not going to bullshit. I'm not going to waver on this. Because West Ham need change. Go back, watch that video, listen to what I've just said there. West Ham need change. Burying your fucking head in the sand, sticking your fingers in your ears and closing your eyes isn't helping anyone. It's not helping you because you can daydream through the next month or two if you want. And then what? It goes to shit when the season starts. And then after 5-6 games, you explode. And you have another one where you get angry for a few weeks before you just become happy again. I'm not doing that, all right? So I know this is a bit of a waffly one, and I know people are getting angry with me being negative. When it comes to the board and the way that West Ham are run, I can't be positive because there are no positives. Anyone that says that there are, they're bullshitting. They don't even believe it themselves. So I get that some people need that. They need that instant dopamine hit. We're signing Suzuki, and you want to believe it even if it ain't fucking true, just because it feels good for a minute, even though the crash afterwards is worse than that little hit that you get. I get that. I understand it. And there's a market for it because I've been involved in that in previous windows. But I'm not in this one. I'm not doing it. In fact, I'm looking at it now from the outside in thinking, fucking, that's cringy that I used to be involved in that. I actually am at this moment in time. And I was only involved in it 6 months ago because you get so wrapped up in it. But ultimately, those people are providing a service as well. So those people are providing a service to fans that want positivity. And there is nothing wrong with that. There's not. I get it. Life is hard enough. The world is tough enough at the minute. People don't want to be miserable about their football club all the time. They don't want to believe all of this stuff. They just want to do that. That's fine. So these other people that are doing that, they are providing a service for people. But so am I. I'm providing a service as well because I'm going to keep it real. I actually am. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to keep telling you the way that things really are. And then, like I said, so you can have reality, fantasy. Reality, fantasy. you've got a choice of both worlds. You can go with what you want. But anyway, look, that is it from me. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm going to speak to you soon. Come on, you irons.